Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Denver Sports Betting Show. I'm your host, Michaela Nagel, and this segment is brought to you by Fandom Nation, giving you insights to all the leagues you can imagine by building communities and showcasing the fans like you. Now, we have a very special guest with us today, Mike Evans, who is the founder and owner of Fandom Nation, and Nico Stones, Evans Performance Advisors. So before we get into that, are you looking for a roofer you can trust? Gardner Roofing is Colorado expert roofing team, family owned and proudly serving the community since 1998. At Gardner Roofing, they don't just build roofs, they build relationships with unmatched craftsmanship, honest pricing, and a team that treats you like family. It's no wonder customers keep coming back and bringing their friends. When it's time for a new roof, repairs, or just honest advice, turn to the name Colorado has trusted for over 27 years, Gardner Roofing. So if your roof needs some love or you just want advice you can trust, visit gardnerroofs.com or give them a call at 303-332-6224. Their family has you covered. Thanks so much for joining, Mike.
It is a pleasure. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, let's get to know, before we dive into Fandom Nation and Evans Performance Advisors, let's get to know you.
Sure.
So tell us what your life was like before Fandom Nation, how it's changed, what you've done, past jobs. I know you were in the military, so just
if I did a snippet of my life journey, former Air Force officer, you do all the crazy things you do in your youth, nuclear weapons security, SWAT team commander, commander Desert Storm. And then you say, is this what I want to do the rest of my life? I love serving my country. I love the men and women I serve with. But I want to do something else. So I got out of the service and got on board with in the commercial space with Johnson & Johnson. And then my career went forward doing various medical device jobs and sales leadership jobs. And then all of a sudden, I decided, is this all that I am? Do I just want to be defined by the corporate culture that has really taken care of me? But no matter what my title is, I'm still a cog in the wheel. So I decided that let me go venture and do something on my own.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us, what is Evans Performance Advisors, Inc.?
Yeah, it's a movement. Okay. We are about authenticity. We are about fandom. We are about energy. I think what defined me was being a Nuggets season ticket holder and a Broncos season ticket holder and going to CU women's games and just being a part of a crowd. Yeah. I don't know who they voted for. I don't know what party they're in. I don't know what religion they are, but we're all cheering for the same thing. And I just love the energy that was there. And I love connecting with people in a way where it's about humanity and being for our squad. And with that energy, I just wanted to take that into business. And for me, sports is part of our DNA. I think it shows the best of us. Absolutely. And when we have to compete, it tests us. This is like starting a business because I've been tested. But for me, EPA is about authenticity and it's about community.
Awesome. And why? So you kind of explained why it inspired you to start the company. How did you start it?
Yeah, life is funny. I was going to purchase a business that I was really excited about. Okay. Deal just didn't happen. And I was wondering from having a conversation with the person above, what do you want from me? Because this seemed perfect for me. This was part of I thought this was the plan. Yeah. No, the plan was to go out and create something in your own that's really special. That's really hard to do, but can help people, can engage people, can inspire people, and can help you give back. So for us, and me, and I'm going to say my wife too, because I couldn't do this without her, creating Fandom Nation and being a part of EPA, creating that is a path, a bridge towards connecting with others.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if someone was to start their own business, what is the first thing you would tell them?
Be strong. Be really grounded about what you're trying to accomplish. Have a really strong support system. Don't be weak because things will happen. And despite trying to do what's right, doesn't mean it's going to happen. But have faith. As long as you're doing what your dream is, as long as you're serving others, as long as you're creating a value proposition that's good for customers, then I say press on. But just realize nothing great is ever done with ease. It's going to take some work.
Yeah. Can you talk about a challenge that you had just starting your own company and how you've overcome it?
Every day is a being a small business owner, and I would always talk to my brother-in-law, who he does own Gardner Roofing. Mm-hmm. Every day is a challenge. And, my wife owns her own business. So I think it's people make plans and God laughs. Mm-hmm. I'm trained military, trained corporate America to have it's about execution, it's about customer value, it's about all those things. But, when something happens in a certain country and tariffs are going and prices rise, then you have a jewelry challenge that you didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
Or if, you have people that you care about and you work with and they decide something's better for them, then you lose them. So I think it's all the things that happen within corporate America, but it's coming out of your check.
Yeah.
And that adds an additional burden.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask what people do you kind of look for to be a part of your team? I know you've said it a couple of times, and I just love hearing you say that you don't hire jerks. So I just want to know more about that and how you kind of, if you're, can really read people when you talk to them and kind of know who to put on your team and who's right for you.
Yeah. So I don't think anyone does it perfectly, but I was a cop before and then in sales before, so I can kind of read people.
Okay.
I just know the environment I best work in is when I'm not worried about someone trying to impress themselves in a way that demeans others. Mm-hmm. I think we're our best selves when people take us as our authentic self, when people value us, and then when people kind of push us to be our best selves. And I think you can only do that in an environment where people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it's easy. It just means you connect with them in a way where you can have really honest, good conversations, and that has to go both ways. Yeah. And you have to be open to that. And I think probably in my early journey in my career, I probably didn't do that well. I think as I've aged, I'm still not perfect, my wife would say, but I'm getting better.
Of course. So you had a job when you first started this company, and now you're fully invested into EPA. Can you explain that journey and how you got here and what challenges that alone faces?
Yeah, what I would say is, the vision of the company started with one vision. Mm-hmm. Our goal was to be the largest merchandiser of sports clothing in the world, working with affiliate marketing and links of that nature. Mm-hmm. And the business challenge was the margins weren't that great. That's the fundamental business challenge. So either you can sit here and cry about it, or you can find a path forward where you find a value proposition that still brings things that fans want. So Fan Day Nation, what we're about is the fans. So for us, we have a great selection of merchandise, clothing, barbecue grills, everything that you would want to be a great sports fan. Click on a button, football, basketball, whatever, it's there. Mm-hmm. But we also have coaches that help with well-being and resilience training. And we've got Dave Blanchard who helps with Habit Finder and making sure that you are thinking as clearly as you can, or Lee Steinberger, a great sports agent, a legendary sports agent. So for us, it's not only about the merchandise, but it's about the fan experience of, I want the great clothing to represent my Broncos. I want the well-being so that I can be my whole self with my family and at the games. Yeah. So for us, we look at fans holistically. Yes. At both their purchase needs along with their well-being needs.
Yeah. You talked about some coaches and health and wellness. What other ways do you engage your fans, and how do you draw them in to buy the jerseys from Fan Day Nation?
Yeah, I think one of the things is we've got multiple communities. So we've got 50-something communities of sports fans. And I think what we try to do is engage each fan base in their own authentic way. Now, obviously, Denver is our home, and that's our hub. Everything else is spokes, but they're still important spokes. But our hub, but what we want to do is authentically engage fans in what's important to them. Not only about the players, which is really important, or the coaches, but what do you like to eat when you're going to have that big party? And do you have the things necessary to have a great party and have a memorable time? For me, fandom is about creating memories. And I think if we can do that both in the stadium, but also those great memories at home. For me, as a kid, thinking about, I miss my father, but watching football with him as a kid in the 80s was amazing. That's still one of my best memories.
Yeah.
But, I want to create an environment where people can plan for having those great memories by having easy access to make those purchases and have them shipped to their homes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And I know just starting a business in general is very challenging. How do you try to separate work and personal life and try not to dive too much deep and try to have some time for yourself? Or is that hard to do when your mind's going 24/7?
I'm still on the journey.
Yeah.
And, so I'm hoping that over time I get better. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of my shortcomings is I do take it with me, like to sleep or not sleep.
Yeah.
But I think over time I've gotten better about that. I think what I've learned to do, and I got to give my performance coach Dave Blanchard a shout out.
Yes.
It's like you hand the baton to someone above, and then I shut it off. Mm-hmm. And then that next morning, I mentally pick up that baton and I was like, it's go time. Yeah. But that's how I've kind of had to mentally separate it so that I can function at the highest level I can possibly do.
Absolutely. How do you want not only yourself, but also the company to be remembered by?
That we help people be their authentic self so that when they engage us, they're coming as who they are. Mm-hmm. And then what they get back is love and community and connection. Mm-hmm. And what that does is if we're able to have that symbiotic relationship, then we have the products that they want. Mm-hmm. And then they're hearing the YouTube, our different YouTube channels. They're getting the content that they want. But they can only get that if they feel comfortable sharing what their needs are. Mm-hmm. And we've got to be open enough to say, hey, we're filling their needs here, but we're missing here, and we need to adjust. And I think that conversation that goes both ways is what we're trying to do. Yeah,
and just being like the owner and founder of this company, how do you want people to look at you and look up to you as the owner?
That I am like them. I am a fan in the stands with them.
Okay.
And that there's an obligation that comes with that. Mm-hmm. Like, I got to represent my people. Mm-hmm. So, if there's Bo Nix jerseys out there, we got to have the latest Bo Nix jerseys. Yeah. And, we've got to have enough Jokic jerseys. And, so part of it is the responsibility of making sure we're meeting the needs of our clientele and our customers and fans. I think part of it is the spirit of how do we bring goodness in the world and how do we connect with people in a way that they know they've been seen and that they're heard and they're valuable. I think those are the core things that I want to make sure I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you,
I really
Michaela.
appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, of course. Thanks, everyone. This was the Denver Sports Betting Show.